Did you know that over 300,000 people in the UK have no place to call home in 2025? That's nearly the entire population of Newcastle living on the streets, in shelters, or in unsafe temporary housing. But here's what's even more shocking. Some cities are seeing homelessness explode faster than ever, while others seem to turn a blind eye. Why? What's really happening behind the scenes? Today, we're counting down the top 10 UK cities with the worst homelessness crisis in 2025. And the answers might surprise you. It's not just London. It's not only the big famous places you hear about in the news. You'll see familiar names on this list, but also a few you might not expect at all. This isn't just about numbers, it's about people. Families forced onto the streets, young people with no safety net, veterans with nowhere to go. We'll look at the hidden reasons: soaring rents, failed policies, neglected mental health services, and ask, how did it get this bad? Stay with me to find out which city tops the list, what's really driving this crisis, and what we can do about it. Because understanding the truth is the first step toward change. Number 10. Sheffield. Sheffield comes in at number 10 on our list. But don't be fooled by its lower rank. Homelessness here has been quietly rising, with local charities reporting a 30% increase in rough sleeping since last year. That's not just numbers. That's real people spending freezing nights under bridges, in doorways, in parks. Sheffield is a city known for its industrial heritage and green hills, but it's also wrestling with a housing crisis. Average private rents have surged over 20% in just 2 years, pushing low-income families to breaking point. Social housing waitlists keep growing while new builds lag far behind demand. What's even more heartbreaking is the hidden homelessness. Couch-surfing teens, families in cramped B&Bs with no cooking facilities, women fleeing domestic violence who have nowhere safe to go. Local shelters are overwhelmed, turning people away nightly. Why is this happening? Cuts to local authority budgets over the past decade have gutted vital support services. Mental health outreach, addiction counseling, youth support. They've all seen their funding slashed. And when support dries up, people fall through the cracks. Imagine watching your rent double in 5 years. Imagine choosing between heating and paying the landlord. What would you do? Tell me in the comments, have you seen this in your city? What do you think would actually fix it? Stay tuned as we reveal the rest of the list, because if Sheffield is number 10, you won't believe how bad it gets at number 1. Number 9. Edinburgh. Edinburgh, the beautiful capital of Scotland, with its ancient castle and cobbled streets, might look picture-perfect to tourists. But behind the postcard views, it's battling a serious homelessness crisis that earns it the number 9 spot on our list. Over 5,000 people in Edinburgh are now officially registered as homeless. That's not a small number for a city its size. And the real figure is likely even higher when you count those sofa surfing, living in cars, or squatting in unsafe buildings. Why is this happening? One huge reason is Edinburgh's skyrocketing rental market. Demand for housing in this festival-friendly city has pushed rents to record highs, some of the most expensive in Scotland. Private landlords can charge a premium, while affordable housing simply hasn't kept pace. But it's not just housing costs. The city has seen deep cuts to support services, especially for people struggling with mental health issues and addiction. Shelter beds fill up fast, forcing people to sleep rough, even in freezing Scottish winters. Charities report that single men are especially at risk here, but families are increasingly affected too. Imagine trying to raise a child in a single hotel room for months on end, without a kitchen or privacy. It's easy to walk down the Royal Mile and not see this, but it's there, just out of sight. What do you think Edinburgh should do to solve this crisis? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to see the full list and understand what's really driving homelessness across the UK, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next city on our countdown. Number 8. Liverpool. Liverpool's homelessness crisis has a raw edge that's impossible to ignore. Walk through the city center at dawn, and you'll see sleeping bags clustered in doorways, cardboard mats under bridges, and outreach vans handing out hot drinks before sunrise. This city wears its history of resilience like a badge of honor. It survived industrial decline, unemployment waves, and political neglect. But today, that same fighting spirit is being tested by a housing emergency that feels like a betrayal of its people. What's driving it? An explosion in private renting, with landlords jacking up prices while wages stagnate. Decades of right-to-buy sales hollowed out the council's housing stock, and attempts to regenerate the city haven't brought nearly enough affordable homes. Local organizations describe a worrying shift. Not just long-term rough sleepers, but families with kids forced into grim hostels for months. Migrants denied access to benefits. People discharged from hospitals with nowhere to go. And there's a deep anger here. Many blame government austerity for slashing council budgets. Cuts to mental health and addiction services mean people who might once have been supported are left to cope alone. But there's also hope. Community groups in Liverpool are famously strong. Volunteer-run kitchens feed hundreds daily. Campaigners lobby for better housing policy. There's no simple answer here, just hard questions about what kind of city Liverpool wants to be. Can it keep its proud sense of solidarity alive when so many of its people have no home? If you've ever visited, you know Liverpool's people don't give up easily, but the fight for a decent place to live shouldn't be this hard. Number 7. Glasgow. Glasgow stands at number 7 on our list, a city famous for its warmth and grit, but also for a homelessness crisis that's become impossible to ignore. In 2025, Glasgow has over 8,000 households assessed as homeless, the highest in Scotland. That number doesn't just mean statistics. It means entire families living out of suitcases in hotel rooms. It means teenagers spending nights on friends' couches until they wear out their welcome. Part of the problem is structural. Glasgow has some of the highest poverty rates in the UK. A legacy of industrial decline has left deep social scars. Rents have climbed sharply, even as wages remain low. The city's old tenement stock, once affordable, is increasingly snapped up by investors and landlords charging market rates. But it's not just about money. Glasgow has long struggled with addiction and mental health crises that feed into cycles of homelessness. Funding cuts over the years have left overstretched services trying to do more with less. Despite this, the city's response is complex. Glasgow City Council has promised to end rough sleeping and cut down on the use of unsuitable temporary accommodation like B&Bs. Outreach workers and charities are passionate, often going far beyond their job descriptions to help people find safety and dignity. Still, the challenge remains massive, and behind every tent pitched in a park or every person asking for spare change on Sauchiehall Street is a story that deserves to be heard. Because Glasgow is more than its statistics. It's a city of people who deserve homes, support, and hope for the future. And until that's reality, the crisis isn't solved. It's only hidden from view. Number 6. Leeds. Leeds claims the number 6 spot on our list, a city that prides itself on growth and modernization, yet struggles with a homelessness crisis that feels at odds with its shiny new developments. Look around the city center. Luxury flats sprouting up, sleek office towers reflecting the Yorkshire sky. But at street level, the divide is stark. Outreach teams report hundreds sleeping rough each year and thousands more trapped in temporary accommodation, with families crammed into small rooms for months on end. What's behind it? One major factor is Leeds' booming rental market. Young professionals and students have pushed demand through the roof. Landlords have responded with higher rents and fewer properties available for those on housing benefit. The city's council housing waiting list has ballooned, with some waiting years for a permanent home. There's another layer to the problem: people with complex needs. Cuts to mental health services, substance misuse treatment, and welfare support mean many are left without a safety net. Once someone loses stable housing here, it can be brutally hard to get back on track. Yet Leeds is not indifferent. The council has invested in Housing First programs aiming to give people permanent homes alongside support. Charities operate 24/7 helplines and street outreach. Faith groups and volunteers run food banks and night shelters. But it's a race against time. For every person helped, another falls into crisis. And while shiny new developments make headlines, the slow erosion of affordable housing too often goes ignored. In Leeds, the question isn't just how to house people. It's whether the city is willing to make room for everyone, not just those who can pay top price for it. Number 5. Brighton. Brighton and Hove might be famous for its pebbled beaches, colorful lanes, and liberal vibe, but behind the seaside charm lies a homelessness crisis, earning it the number 5 spot on our list. Brighton has one of the highest rates of rough sleeping in England outside London. Walk along the seafront at dawn, and you'll see sleeping bags tucked into doorways, tents in parks, and people stirring before the tourists arrive. Housing here is a paradox. It's desirable, trendy, but that popularity has a price. Average rents are among the highest in the UK outside London. Landlords can charge premium rates to students, professionals, and short-term holiday lets. That pushes low-income residents to the brink. Once you lose a tenancy in Brighton, there are precious few places to go, but there's more to the story. Brighton's welcoming reputation draws people from across the country, especially those who have nowhere else to turn. The city has invested in services, but they're overstretched. Shelters regularly fill up. Some people choose the street over crowded dorm-style accommodation with strict rules. Add in mental health challenges, addiction issues, and a severe shortage of truly affordable housing, and you get a complex crisis with no easy fix. Local charities work tirelessly to offer meals, medical care, and advice, but resources can only stretch so far. Brighton likes to see itself as compassionate, creative, inclusive, but this crisis tests that identity. The question for residents, leaders, and visitors alike is stark. How do you keep the soul of a city alive when so many of its people can't afford a roof over their heads? Because in Brighton, homelessness isn't just a statistic. It's the shadow cast by the city's own success. Number 4. Bristol. Bristol takes the number 4 spot, a city famous for its street art, vibrant music scene, and fiercely independent spirit. But behind the cool image lies a homelessness crisis that's become one of the worst in the country. Bristol has seen rough sleeping more than triple in the last decade. Tents line riverbanks and parks, while people queue for food at outreach vans in the shadow of glossy waterfront developments. It's a striking contradiction. A city celebrated for creativity, unable to house its most vulnerable. One big driver? A brutal housing shortage. Demand far outpaces supply. New builds often focus on luxury flats, not affordable homes. Rents have shot up, pricing out low-income families and young people. Even those with jobs can struggle to secure a tenancy without hefty deposits and guarantors. Bristol's social housing list is years long. Temporary accommodation is often overcrowded, with families living in single rooms with little privacy or stability. And when people fall out of the system because of addiction, mental health crises, or relationship breakdown, they often have nowhere else to turn. But Bristol isn't standing still. Local authorities have trialed housing-first models, aiming to break the cycle with permanent homes and tailored support. Charities and volunteer groups offer warm meals, sleeping bags, medical help. Art projects even invite those with lived experience of homelessness to tell their stories in public spaces. Still, the question hangs heavy. Can Bristol's bold, creative energy solve a crisis rooted in inequality? Because for all its color and culture, the reality for many in Bristol is far from bright. It's cold nights under bridges, constant fear, and the sinking feeling that the city is leaving them behind. Number 3. London. London lands at number 3 on our list. Unsurprising, perhaps, but the scale is staggering even by the capital's standards. In 2025, over 10,000 people are estimated to sleep rough in London over the course of a year. That doesn't even count the tens of thousands in temporary accommodation. Families living in cramped hotels or converted shipping containers, paying sky-high rents for places that barely feel like home. London's housing crisis is legendary. Average rents swallow over half of many workers' take-home pay. Even people with steady jobs often struggle to keep a roof over their heads. Meanwhile, thousands of properties sit empty as speculative investments. The market doesn't serve need, it serves profit. But homelessness here isn't just about rent. London draws people from all over the UK and the world looking for opportunity. For those who fall on hard times, the city can be brutally indifferent. Cuts to mental health services, addiction support, and social care have left charities and councils scrambling to plug the gaps. Outreach teams work every night, offering hot drinks and warm words under neon lights. Some boroughs have invested in housing first and no second night out policies to stop new rough sleepers from getting trapped long-term. But the sheer scale means many fall through the cracks. It's easy to look away in London, to pass someone in a sleeping bag and tell yourself it's their choice or bad luck. But the truth is more uncomfortable. This is a city that generates billions in wealth while thousands sleep outside train stations. If London can't solve homelessness with all its resources and talent, what hope is there for anywhere else? The crisis here isn't an accident. It's a mirror reflecting choices made at every level of government and society. Number 2. Birmingham. Birmingham takes the number 2 spot on our list, a city at the heart of England that's facing one of the UK's most severe homelessness crises in 2025. Official figures show more than 15,000 households in Birmingham are now homeless or at risk. That includes families stuck in temporary accommodation for months, sometimes years. Single parents sharing single rooms with children. People forced to choose between paying the rent or putting food on the table. What's behind these grim numbers? Part of it is economic. Birmingham has long struggled with pockets of deep poverty, even as shiny regeneration projects promise a modern city. Rents have risen steadily while wages lag behind. The social housing waiting list has ballooned, with supply nowhere near demand. Another factor? Cuts to local authority budgets have devastated safety nets. Services for domestic violence survivors, mental health care, addiction support, they're all overstretched. Many who lose their homes do so after a crisis that could have been prevented with the right help. The city center shows the human cost. Tents under bridges, sleeping bags in shop doorways, outreach workers doing their best but unable to help everyone. Meanwhile, hotel rooms and hostels used as temporary solutions become permanent limbo for thousands. Yet there's resilience here. Birmingham's community groups and charities are some of the most dedicated in the UK. Faith organizations, volunteers, and local campaigns fight daily to keep people warm, fed, and hopeful. But make no mistake, this is a crisis, one that challenges Birmingham's proud identity as a welcoming working-class city. Because behind every statistic is a neighbor who deserves better. And the question facing Birmingham is whether it's willing to make the hard choices to ensure everyone truly has a home. Number 1. Manchester. Manchester tops our list as the UK city with the highest homelessness crisis in 2025. A grim title for a place once called the world's first modern city. Over 17,000 people in Greater Manchester are now estimated to be homeless or in insecure housing. That's not just rough sleepers in the city center, though there are hundreds, even in winter. It's families stuck in hostels for over a year. Young people sofa surfing every night. Couples splitting up because there's nowhere affordable to live together. Manchester's problem is layered and complex. The city has boomed with shiny skyscrapers, tech startups, and swanky new flats. Yet much of this housing is unaffordable for ordinary people. Rents have jumped over 30% in just 5 years. At the same time, welfare support has failed to keep pace with living costs, pushing many to crisis point. Council budgets, already tight from years of cuts, struggle to cope. Mental health services are overloaded. Drug and alcohol treatment programs are stretched thin. And while the city invests in housing-first projects and outreach teams, demand always seems to outstrip supply. Walk through Manchester's northern quarter or down Oxford Road, and you'll see the contrasts starkly. New bars and boutiques next to doorways where people bed down for the night. It's a city buzzing with life, culture, ambition, and yet unable to guarantee something as basic as a safe place to sleep. But Manchester is also known for its solidarity. Campaigners, charities, and local volunteers fight daily to provide food, warmth, and hope. They prove this city's heart is still beating strong. The question is whether that spirit can drive real change. Because Manchester doesn't have to accept this crisis as inevitable. It's a choice, and it's one the city must make. Now, if this made you think, tell me in the comments. What would you do to fix this crisis? Want more? Check out my previous video for an even deeper look at UK housing challenges. We pour our hearts into these stories, so if you found this valuable, please support us with one click and subscribe to the channel.